Welcome to the Hillsborough Historian. My name is Rex, and let's see what the terrier is serving up with his history on a platter. Today's topic is the stained glass windows. If we look at old postcards from when HHS was built in 1927, we can see that the windows are actually clear glass. It seems likely that they may have been intended to have been stained glass, however. In 1938, the Terriers gained a movie projector and decided to paint the windows white to darken the auditorium. This is HHS in the late 1930s, and you can see the painted windows. In the late 1950s, they are still totally painted. But an English teacher named Sarah Sweat had been trying for 15 years to get the stained glass windows installed in the auditorium. In the late 1940s, the money had been diverted to the Memorial Clock Tower. By late 1959, with the help of the HHS PTA, the first stained glass was installed. Alumni Joseph Myers donated his labor to the movement. Here we can see some of the windows as they were installed. And at the bottom of each window you can see the date that they were installed by Joseph Myers. There is a duality to the windows. If we start at the back of the auditorium and head towards the stage, they are in the following order. The Roman Emperor Justinian is seen. He codified Roman law in the early 6th century. Now laws were clearer and not in conflict. The Babylonian king Hammurabi is seen, and the Code of Hammurabi is one of the earliest examples of the presumption of innocence and providing evidence. We can see the laws of both the ancient East and ancient West represented in this window, and these are some of the foundations of our modern legal system. The balcony blocks the figures on the next window, but on the left is an astronaut. Remember, this is the 1960s, and the space race and Cold War are in full swing. The Cuban Missile Crisis actually occurs as the windows are being installed. On the right, the figures of an HHS football player. So we can see the battles both above and below. The next window offers two scientific researchers. The first is Sir Alexander Fleming, the brilliant researcher who left a petri dish while on vacation and returned to find fungus, which could kill certain types of bacteria. He called it penicillin. Next is Jonas Salk, who pioneered the polio vaccine in the 1950s to battle a disease that had been affecting humankind for thousands of years. This window shows us both the accidental and determined discoveries of research. The next window is the blue and the gray of the Civil War, freedom versus slavery. Recall that the installment of the windows coincided with the 100th anniversary of the American Civil War. Here Lincoln symbolizes federalism, emancipation, and the reunification of the nation. Lee symbolizes the Confederacy, military wit, and states' rights. The Civil War is one of the most written about chapters in U.S. history and still echoes to this day. This window represents the Civil War's North and South. We next see the two great pioneers, Albert Einstein and Henry Ford. Einstein created the world's most famous formula, E = mc squared, which represents the mass energy equivalence. He pioneered relativity, unified field theory, and the EPR paradox. Next is Ford, who was an early auto pioneer. He did not invent the automobile nor the assembly line, but he refined both to create the world's first affordable automobile. Einstein would warn the world of mass destruction, while Ford touted the benefits of mass production. In the early 20th century, both changed the world. The next window shows us Euclid and Walt Whitman. Euclid is the Greek mathematician known as the father of geometry. In Elements, he gives us the mathematical proofs that form the basis of modern mathematics 23 centuries later. Number theory can also be found in this ancient text. Next is Walt Whitman, the American bard who believed in the identity of the common people. He pioneered free verse, poetry with no rhyme or regular meter. This window juxtaposes the precise rules of mathematics with imaginative freedom of verse. Next is the Aquatic World. On the left, we see the exploration and conquest of the ocean by humankind, while on the right, we see the denizens of the deep. One is out of their element, while the other is within their element. The next window focuses on astronomy, the planets of our solar system, but again we can see the duality. On the left is the sun, constant and never-changing, the center of its universe. On the right is the moon, constantly changing, orbiting around another. Symbolically speaking, do we choose to walk in the light of wisdom or to stay in the dark? Now, some of you have noticed that from within the auditorium we see 8 windows, while outside of HHS we can clearly see 9 windows. That's because one last window lines up behind the stage. It shows 2 figures in apparently a graduation ceremony. And way at the top of the windows we can see an owl on the left symbolizing knowledge and an eagle on the right clearly symbolizing American patriotism. Here perhaps the great question as Soteria graduates from HHS is, how will you use your knowledge to improve America? Well, as they say in the window business, I better go before I become a pane in the glass. Please subscribe, like, and share. Take care of each other, and as always, go Big Red.